My name is Dorothy Ackerman. I'm with the Portland, Oregon AIM. I'm really glad to be here and honored to be part of the agenda. Mitakoyapi, apetuki de vida washte, daya de awasik de yahipi. God blesses each and every one of you that are here today. We're all here today with one mind and one spirit in memory of the American Indian movement, and especially for Leonard Peltier. I'm going to pray to Gashala, grandfather, great spirit. Be with us, each and every one of us that are here today. We're here with all of the other people, all of our people, fighting for one thing, that the Indians may have peace and that our trees may be granted and our water rights be granted, and for the sake of all of our children and for the future of our children who will be our leaders. We thank you, grandfather, for those that are here today. We thank you for those that have passed on who were great leaders of this organization. We thank you, Takashla, for the people the staff who organized this march today. Bless each and every one of them. We pray especially for the leaders of our country. We pray for those military people that are overseas. I pray for those that have gone before us and never made it back, so that we may be free here in this country. To God shall bless everyone that's here today. And we're all here with one mind. And what we're going to talk about is all the same thing for the benefit of the American Indian. Thanks to you all for coming. Aho, Mitakoyate.
Hi, we're going to have a welcoming, and I need a couple of volunteers. We have a sign-up sheet to get the clemency papers that are going to get signed today that will go to ask Obama to sign executive clemency. I'm going to have, and I'll be over there with those papers if somebody can walk through the crowd and have, or a couple of people walk through. I'll be over there in a second. I'm going to have Dia Conway come up, Chucky Dog Guy's daughter, and you're welcome.
My name is Dia Hop Conway, and I'm a member of the Puyallup tribe, and the oldest child of Charles Conway, a.k.a. Doghide, who was also a member of AIM. I am honored to welcome you to our land, and I thank you for your support. Give yourself a big hand. It's a beautiful day for a march. I'm also a member of the Leonard Peltier Defense Offense Committee. Growing up, I was told stories of the movement and of Wounded Knee, and Leonard Peltier and his wrongful imprisonment. I grew to appreciate the members of AIM at a very influential age. And my father always shared with us the importance of everything that AIM stood for in keeping our traditions alive. As I work in my tribe's daycare, I grow to appreciate it more every day, from our traditional songs and our stories to our language and art. I thank all of those who fought for us to have these things in our daily lives. And I thank our ancestors for sharing with everyone and for thinking of us and this younger generation. And I will pass on our stories and practice our traditions. Thank you and welcome.
In the air, I'm not that tall. Right now we're going to have Arthur Miller come up and give an update, and Ramona Bennett is going to be following him, so they're going to kind of both interject with each other. Ramona Bennett, grandmother, oh, poor puppy. Puyallup tribal member, grandma, great leader, and also Arthur Miller from the Tacoma. Where'd he go? Well, Ramona's up here. Where are you, Arthur? Oh. Okay. Well, maybe the keynote speaker will go now, and then she can interject with our... Oh, he's going to be here in a second, I guess. You want your chair back?
The one thing I always want everyone to understand is that Leonard is just a guy. He's the symbol of repression, but he's a person. And when I first met him, he had an auto body and mechanic shop up in Seattle. It had 8 bays, 4 for auto body work and 4 for mechanical. And he had a contract with the city of Seattle. He kept the cop cars looking good and running. No, really, he was too legit to quit. And he was just this good Indian man who worked his butt off, got himself established, had a good crew working for him, and word of this successful Indian, of course, spread through Indian country. And so we heard about this guy who, if the grandmas and grandpas from Montana broke down because their fan belt broke, somebody'd call Leonard and he'd just show up, switch out the fan belt, give him a hug, be on his way. And so the word spread that there was this Indian that could show up with a rim and a tire and a can of gas and, just your good Indian guy, and could help you break into your car when you lost your keys and, stuff like that. And so we were part of Survival of American Indians Association. We were all involved in fishing rights. And like all good Indians, we had transportation problems. And so Allison, she was Allison Bridges back then, and we went out as scouts. We were going to go find that Indian that worked on cars. And we found him. And I remember when we walked into his shop, Allison jumped back, all startled and scared because it was all cop cars. And we were like at war with the pigs at that time. But we got to know him, and he was a good guy. He was just this really good, hearted, funny, normal Indian man who actually come down to Puyallup fishing camp with a case of beer and wanted me to go party with him. Now you have to remember this is like 40 years ago. But I said, no, we've got this fishing camp. We're protecting our fishermen. I can't go with you. And he says, why are you always so serious? Leonard said that to me. So anyway, as time went by, we did the Fort Lawton invasion. We had Puyallup camp. He helped with everything all the way along the way. And if you've seen that movie, As Long as the Rivers Run, there's a scene with the teepee at the top of the hill, and Leonard is one of the Indians standing in front of the teepee. We climbed a bluff into Fort Lawton, and Chuck Conway was right there climbing with us. The 3 of us spent the night hanging off roots on the side of this cliff. So, I just want you to know, this is a real human being guy. He's way more than just a symbol. He's way more than just a symbol. He's a guy with a really good heart. And the thing is that if any elder called him and said they needed help, he was there. And what happened was when them Indians there at Pine Ridge started, when the traditional families came under attack from the Dick Wilson Goon Squad, the traditionals, the elders, the families called for help. They said, help, we need security, we need witnesses, we need bodyguards, we need help. And that was Leonard, that was his call. If an elder needed help, he was right there. And that's how Leonard come to be in this whole situation from the beginning. And he and I like to interrupt each other, but he's not interrupting. What's wrong?
Ramona gave you a good idea of what type of person Leonard is, and I've worked for him for 34 years, and the first reason I've worked for him for so long is the type of person he is. After that comes the issues, the case, and everything else. But when you get to know Leonard, you're there for him because he's always out to, in there for us. He struggles behind the prison walls, even for Christmas gifts for kids on Pine Ridge. You know, he'll do that even when he's stuck in isolation. So let me give you some more background of the situation that we're faced with and we come today here about. Long ago when they had forced the treaties upon Native people, which they broke every single one of them, they forced people on to what they call reservations. Most of those reservations was land that the white folks did not want. And back in those days, it had to do with ranching and farming and things like that, the railroad and whatnot. But later, when industrialization came about, this society wanted minerals and had an addiction to energy. And they found out that that land that they once thought was worthless all of a sudden has coal, uranium, oil, natural gas, and other things that they wanted, like gold with the Western Shoshone and whatnot. So they had to come up with ways to get that land. One of the things that they had done is that they declared that all natives, that the U.S. government was the guardian, the custodian of all native people. That allowed the U.S. government corporations to rip everybody off. They said that the tribes couldn't do it, that the U.S. government could do it better, and better meant stealing from them and creating probably the biggest financial scandal in the history of this country, if it ever gets totally written out, of all the money that was stolen from Native folks on the U.S. government's watch. But then they found uranium in the northwest corner of the Pine Ridge Reservation, high-grade uranium, and they wanted that. They knew that the Lakota people would not sign away that area of their land because they still refused to take money for the Black Hills. So they hatched a plan to suppress the traditional elders and whatnot, and when that started to happen, these folks went to the American Indian movement and asked for requests. Not everybody didn't know what was going on at the time, what was behind it, like uranium and everything, but that led to the Wounded Knee occupation. After Wounded Knee, the government had lied to in the negotiations there and indicted more than 500 people and tried to destroy AIM within the courts. On the Pine Ridge Reservation, they had a reign of terror where over 66 traditional and AIM supporters were murdered, many more people wounded, villages shot up and everything like that. So traditional elders went back to AIM, and the people that they talked to and came out for them was Northwest AIM. The AIM members from out here in mainly Oregon and the state of Washington. Leonard answered the call out of Seattle. Then the FBI realized that they would have to do more because AIM was putting a spotlight on the problems of Pine Ridge. See, that's the thing that made AIM so dangerous to the government and the mining corporations, was not because of what their views were, is because AIM understood how to get media attention, how to work the media. They learned from the civil rights movement and everything else. So where for many, many years, nobody in America knew what was happening in places like Pine Ridge, all of a sudden, what AIM did, Wounded Knee, was putting this international spotlight. And that international spotlight jeopardized the continued theft of native land, not just in Pine Ridge, but with the Western Shoshone, it was oil and coal. With down at Big Mountain with the Navajo, it was coal there. With the Western Shoshone, it was gold. So there was all these billions of dollars that was in jeopardy by if everybody knew what was going on. So they didn't want to have another Wounded Knee because that put international pressure on the government. What they wanted to do is go in to that encampment that Northwest AIM was at and just wipe them out. Well, they planned on the same day that that section of Pine Ridge was being illegally signed away by that corrupt tribal chairman Dickie Wilson. On that same day, the FBI invaded that encampment in a defensive, put up in a defensive position in the same way that the drive-by shootings happened and a firefight occurred. Now, the FBI said that they were just chasing a young Indian boy for the theft of a pair of used cowboy boots. But those two agents were not ordinary FBI agents. Who were counterintelligence agents and FBI SWAT team members. This was the most elite of trained elite FBI agents that they sent in there. They were hoping that since they were so well trained that nothing would happen to them. But there was this whole thing in American governmental politics called the Custer syndrome, where they don't believe that anybody can defend themselves. Well, these people did defend themselves, and they got away. One Indian AIM member was killed that day. Joe Stentz killed right. He's also was from the Northwest. He was from Port Angeles. So we're talking about people from here that we should defend because they are our own. These guys got away that day, but later on, two got arrested and in their trial in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, were found not guilty for the reason of self-defense. This was a all-white jury in a conservative Midwest town, and the government's bullshit couldn't even be put over on them. So they went after Leonard with full force. Leonard at that time had escaped to Canada. The first thing they did is send lying affidavits to the government and courts of Canada saying that Leonard was actually the person that shot these people, and they had a witness, this woman by the name of Wendell Poorbear, that signed these affidavits. Well, after Wendell Poorbear got away from the FBI, she explained that the FBI had threatened her and had threatened to take her children away from her if she did not sign those affidavits. And Wendell Poorbear requested that she testify at Leonard's case in his defense. Well, the court ruled that she could not testify because if she was to be believed, it would shock the conscience of the court, obviously. They at least made one statement, right, that judge. So they refused to let her testify. They refused any evidence in Leonard's trial for self-defense, so he was convicted of 2 murders and sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. Over the years in the appeals process, we've disproved the whole case that they had against Leonard. The ballistics report, which was one of the main things that convicted Leonard, we proved was fabricated by the FBI. The FBI's excuse was, oh, well, we just misspoke on the stand. The witnesses against Leonard recanted their testimonies. One in the movie Incident at Obama, Norman Brown, recants his testimony right there and explains the harassment he was under. So we've gone through the whole appeals process, and the courts say that they will not give Leonard a new trial because we cannot prove beyond a shadow of doubt that the jury would have found Leonard not guilty. He said they might have found him not guilty, but we can't prove that. Well, that's a standard. That's impossible to meet. Well, we could prove that Leonard was sitting on top of the moon, and we still can't prove that the jury would have found a different verdict. So we've gone through this process. We've gone through a parole process that also has been corrupt. And back in the 90s, we had a parole hearing for Leonard. A lot of good support stuff there, and the parole officer ruled in favor of Leonard that Leonard should be paroled. That parole officer was overruled by the parole commission, and he was fired. Then we went into our last clemency campaign with President Clinton, and we thought we were doing real good, and then the FBI decided to get out there and organize because Clinton was considering it. So the 500 FBI agents marched in front of the White House against Leonard Peltier. They pressured newspapers to print editorials against Leonard and everything. These are things that the FBI has never done. It's the FBI that's responsible for those deaths of those agents. It wasn't Leonard. So now we're in a new clemency campaign. Chances are Obama would not grant clemency until after the election. That's pretty much standard procedure. But in that period of time, between now and the election, we have to put as much pressure on Obama, making Leonard into such a political issue that he cannot ignore it, and that is our hope. There's another hope that we put enough pressure that Obama tells the parole commission, why don't we just parole him, that's easier. But either way, however we get Leonard out, I don't give a damn, just as long as we get him out. But the only way we're going to get clemency is if all of us do everything that we can. I don't ask you to stop all that you do in other movements and struggles and everything, because if you do, then the government has won. Political repression is to stop political movement. What I ask for you is to include Leonard in your groups, in your organizations, in everything that you do. Make him a part of it. Go back and get resolutions for Leonard. Get petitions signed for Leonard. There's this 8.5 by 17 sheet going around. We want everybody here to sign them, and we're going to mail that to Obama as the people assembled here in Tacoma ask for clemency. And next week we're doing something different. We're doing a phone and email zap, which little pieces of paper are being passed around. Sue has them. A phone zap is when everybody calls at the same time. Well, we want next week to send a message that the Northwest demands clemency for Leonard Peltier. Take that, and sometime during the week, call and email. That's the only possible way we can free Leonard, short of having a revolution, which isn't a bad idea, is by making him such a political issue that Obama cannot ignore him any longer. We have to be, every time we have a political town meeting in the election, we have to, and they ask for questions, somebody needs to be there, says, how about the clemency for Leonard Peltier? We cannot let them feel that they can just ignore us and pass this issue on. That Leonard will become forgotten. He will not be forgotten. He's here for us. We need to be here for him, and we need to keep doing this, getting out in public. Now, someone, I think Maryland, is passing around donation cans. And it's very important that you help us because we haven't even paid off the cost for this rally yet, and we need to have funds to start going on to next with the campaign. Please help us out. And I thank you all for coming out today. I wish to acknowledge all the great
on muscle cars, and when he was a mechanic, all of these cars that are now antiques were in style. That's what he was used to working on. And so he put up that component, and Robert Free had the housing, the clean and sober housing. Because I don't know if any of you know anyone that's ever been on parole. Hey. I know I do. You know, you've got to have a plan. What are they going to do? Who's going to supervise them? How are they going to live? And, oh, it was a beautiful package. You know, Robert Free's family eats real good, you know. The people at El Centro, they're all good people. And so it was a beautiful plan, which the parole board used for toilet paper, you know. They just didn't even consider the possibility. I went to one of the appeal hearings, and I testified. I was one of Leonard's character witnesses. And have any of you ever been to like a criminal trial? If you have, can you clap your hands? Okay. What happens in a criminal trial, if you're the victim or your family is the victim, they tell you, the judge instructs you, one tear, one groan, one fidget, and you're out of here, right? Isn't that what they tell you? Them FBI agents, by the way, there were 83 Indians murdered on that reservation the preceding year, and not one conviction. Those two FBI agents represented hundreds of FBI agents that were back there, and they had no damn business there in the first place. But boy, did they investigate and manufacture all of their evidence. But when I was at that hearing, when I testified about the kind of a man that Leonard is, at least Leonard was there, and you know, he knows how much we love him. But when I was speaking, those FBI agents' families were going, sound like a bunch of snakes. And then when they were talking, they were crying big old tears. They had boxes of Kleenex, you know, just all damn drama that in any other court would have been thrown out. You know, I just want you guys to know that those are the things we've been up against. You can see we're never giving up. We're never giving up. I'm never giving up. I know Sue ain't giving up.
Nope, I'm not.
No, you know, so just stand with us, support Leonard, join the fight to get him free. I mean, even in Africa, you know, Mandela served less time and came out as the president. You know, our guy, we can't even get him out to be a car repair guy. You know, it ain't right. It ain't fair. Wouldn't that be nice? Good. Well, he's certainly a citizen.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm okay. We'll see if I'm okay. It is warm in this sun. We're going to be having the drum come up here in a minute. Are you guys getting ready, or you're just ready with your coffee? And Yay, hurrah. I don't like what. If you need to stretch or yawn or do something before we go on, please do. With the old Northwest AIM chapter that was here that Leonard was a part of, a lot of our brothers and sisters from then are now on the other side, and they're watching us today. And I like that that they're watching us and try to give some good direction on how Northwest AIM is supposed to be. They were the old Piranha group. You didn't always know who they were or what was going on. They went in, got the job done, got out. They didn't carry no cards. They didn't get to wear nothing that said whoopity-ding. I mean, I had a little tattoo, woohoo! But we didn't, be front runners on a bunch of other things, but we were there wherever we were needed. And I'm glad that some of the chapter is still alive. I'm going in for surgery pretty soon. We just lost another old member of our group, Elaine Fiddler, went on Monday. She passed to the other side from cancer. I don't know if they just infect us when we're at all these different rallies, or they just love dumping weird, icky stuff on our reservations, or what. They're just following around. They are coming up here. I said, are they ready? And are you coming up here? I'm introducing you, and you're so thank you, Albert. Albert Holmes and the guys, or whoever you can introduce yourself. And also the donation cans are going to be coming around at this time too.
First of all, I want to say thank you for each and every one of you coming here today. And now again, we want to ask if Arthur and Steve and Ramona and Sue, Michael, if we're going to ask if you folks can stand here in the front of us here, and I ask every hand drum, they can come behind us. Where's Arthur at? Jimbo. Stand up. I just want to say a few words. I've been following Steve and Sue and Arthur around for a bunch of years now, and all through Indian country, through different rallies and different events. Yeah, even San Francisco, yeah. But myself, I want to light up these songs and these drums, thanking you, for all the things you've done for each and every one of us, the things you've done for Leonard, and bringing this event, every year, all the things you guys do in the back, just want to thank you and lift you up in that way. Just all the songs that we're going to sing, we're going to lift you up that way.
Yeah, I've been around many years, involved in the struggle for our land and for our rights, for our people, particularly with the American Indian movement. But more importantly, I have a reason to be here today, is because when I came to this part of the country, this part of the area, the Northwest, was in 1983. I came because at the time there was a case involved in the federal court system, and that was the case of David So Happy, who many of you know, and unfortunately cannot be with us today. He and many other people that have passed on, that have enlightened us, that has encouraged us to carry on this struggle. And many of you today, it's an honor to be here with you, because you have taken time out in your life. One of our great leaders, Grovan, named James Manning Sr., who used to come here every year as well. And he used to leave with these words: when you give up your life, you give up part of your time. And you give up a part of your time today, you give up a part of your life. So today, we're giving up a part of our life and our time. But it's not here. This is one of many events taking place across this country. And not just across the country, but in the world. You have been responsible and helpful in bringing Leonard's case to the international community. I remember when we used to come here, there used to be only a handful of us. But the consistency, every year, and it has grown. And many of you younger ones that are here, gives me great honor and respect that you're carrying on this struggle, this resistance. This resistance is about who we are. It's about our people, and it's about our land. This is what occupation looks like. And I don't mean to differ with our brothers and sisters that are trying to send a message to their government. Not my government, their government. My government is the traditional people, the spiritual leaders, the people that made treaties. These are our leaders today. Many times we get confused about who our real leaders are. And one of them today is in prison for 36 years. Somebody that helped us understand what the struggle is about, who stood up at odds as well. And I'm sure he knew some of the consequences. But it's an honor to be here with you today, to carry on that spirit, to carry on that fight. I always say the spirit of resistance, the spirit of our ancestors will rise to claim the future. And that's what you're seeing today. Every walk of life, our elders, our traditional people, our brothers with these drums and their songs, this is who we are, and this is what we're about. And this is what Leonard Peltier was about. And this is what Leonard Peltier wants to continue to do. I met Leonard Peltier in 1979. I've known his case. But I had an honor to meet with him. In 1979, I was part of the Peltier support group in Los Angeles. I helped organize a culture group, a meeting, a powwow, so we could go in and visit the brothers. And that's when Leonard was incarcerated in Lompoc. And I talked to Leonard that night. The same night that he chose to go over that wall. These are some of the stories that many people don't know. Many of the people that tried to get Leonard out of prison. And I'm sad to see that Leonard's still in prison today. But we must continue to walk. One of my spiritual leaders, Philip Deere, if you remember, 1978, during the longest walk in Washington, D.C., he said the longest walk is not over. Somewhere in our history, we all have a walk. Somewhere our people had to suffer. And that's what's happening today. When these brothers and sisters are walking across this country again for Leonard Peltier. They're giving up a little bit of their time and their life. And I would ask, at some point, to try to join them, to meet them. It would be awesome to see all the drummers and singers there again when they arrive. Maybe there's an opportunity we can send. Many of us can go there and be there when they arrive. But today is a good day. It's a beautiful day to be walking and speaking up for our brother in prison. Monday there will be another demonstration in San Francisco. Again, from the FBI building. We want them to know who we are. So again, I just want to say, carry on. Carry on. Next month, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the rights of indigenous peoples, he will be coming to North America, and he will be investigating human rights issues. And we're hoping that he takes the time and opportunity to go visit Leonard Peltier. For 3 years now, Leonard Peltier Defense Committee people have been submitting information, submitting a request for this UN representative to come and visit Leonard. And he will be here the end of April, the first part of May. So we're hoping that Leonard will get his opportunity. All he wants to do is talk and let him know what happened, what led him. So this is what we're here doing today, is to support all the efforts, the clemency, the pardon. I just want to close not a song, not a chant, but I know that everywhere I go, I carry my drum with me too. Last year I went to Gaza on the police flotilla, and they too understand and know Leonard Peltier. Many people around the world. But I like those drums, and there's any more left. Free Leonard Peltier! 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 And I hope you all have a safe journey home and carry on our struggle. Remember, somebody invested in you to be here today. Somebody gave you and shared words with you to be here. So remember that. And as they say, our ancestors, they're on the other side now, but they're only there to help us. So sometimes we have to reach out and ask them for that help. Thank you, my relatives.
I've gotten taller all of a sudden. Oh. I look out here today and I'm seeing a lot of faces, some I know, some I don't know, and unfortunately sometimes I forget things, age, the 60s, whatever it is. But one of the faces that's missing today is Father Bixel, a Jesuit priest from up there, St. Leo's. A lot of you may know him, some don't know him. He's been a strong backbone in the Jesuit movement and the movement for people in kind. Robert Merrill's going to come up and talk to you about how he was just bustled off back again into solitary confinement in the federal holding prison up there at SeaTac. Robert? Thank you. Do you want to, and there's also a letter here from Father Bixel. I don't know if he wants to read that or if you got something already prepared. Whoops. Yeah, that's one of the, like Ramona's saying, Father Bixel was always here every year. He enjoyed Leonard and wanted to see Leonard free in his lifetime. He's 70. I want him free. I'm 56. I want to see it happen in my lifetime and in his lifetime and all of our lifetimes to free Leonard.
Father Bixel, I can remember would walk side by side with Father Bixel on just about every civil rights issue that's been here in Pierce County. I left here for just a little while and I saw Father Bixel on television. He had gotten himself arrested. What is he up to now? I was horrified to find out that he had been arrested. I'd been horrified that he had been arrested. What he had been protesting is the federal government spending money on training young men to learn to kill at the School of the Americas, which trains young men to kill other people. And native folks in this country kill them. And indigenous people across the world, they train them to kill other people in other countries. That is the sole purpose. That is the only reason they have this school. Isn't that nice and quaint? They call it a school. It's a murder training operation. Father Bixel said there's enough of that. He's in federal prison right now, just up the road at SeaTac. Once again, standing up for human rights and civil rights. You can tell the character of this frail, yet strong fighter. Gosh, I'd love to see him. And from his jail cell, he has asked that the city of Tacoma stand up and take a stand. He's asked the Pierce County Council stand up and put their campaign slogans where their mouths are. So he's asked that a resolution be made and put before this. So how many of you are from the city of Tacoma who live here? How many are from Pierce County? So maybe you'll join us as we seek those folks to put their votes where their mouths are. But here's a letter, and I'll read that resolution. Just we know there's been thousands of resolutions, but we want to put those people on notice. So happy for the preparation for the Leonard Peltier Ritual and Walk. So happy that someone from our Guadalupe, from Catholic Worker Community, will be a speaker at the rally ritual for 2/4/12. Tomorrow I will end my liquid only fast, no solid food and water, and small cartons of milk for a day. He's been fasting for like 4 days, specifically for this event. This will be the 15th day of my fast and prayer to work together for the elimination of nuclear weapons. I'll be entering a liquid-only fast from the evening of February 1st to the end of the march and vigil, February 4th, to pray for the liberation of our brother Leonard Peltier. And his suffering has led us to strengthen our quest for human and embracing our humanity. Like Leonard, I am also in a 24-hour lockdown. A 74-year-old priest. His crime, being a human, how long? 88-year-old priest. Pardon me? 83. They better stop writing the wrong age here. Maybe he's trying to, I'm going. Like Leonard, I'm also on 24-hour lockdown, and I'm able to feel the
Creator's presence and rejoice in the connection with Leonard. Thank you for all the faithful and continuous work for justice for Leonard and for the work of support that the IWW and hope and for the workers' control and for production and for the safety of all peoples. May we become what we have never been, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, in solidarity and love. I mean, here he is, a nice, happy little priest sitting in his little halfway house, complying with everything that the Fed said, and the federal marshals went in, surround the place and take him off back to prison and throw him in solitary confinement. I don't understand what that danger would have been, but the passing of words can be a very dangerous thing to this government. So I'm glad that we have this time to share our words and our words of solidarity, our words of love for Leonard and other people who are incarcerated at this time or who are having trouble. Did you have much more time? Oh yes, some more stuff he's got to not get out of the way.
No. So those of you who can raise a little heck at the Tacoma City Council and at the Pierce County Council, please join us. Whereas Indigenous activist Leonard Peltier was wrongfully convicted and illegally imprisoned for 36 years, whereas the courts have acknowledged evidence of government misconduct, whereas the misconduct included withholding and grossly mishandling ballistic evidence which reflected Mr. Peltier's innocence, whereas Mr. Peltier has been denied a new trial on the basis of a legal technicality, whereas Mr. Peltier has been supported by many organizations, including labor unions, Amnesty International, First Nations and Native organizations, including the National Congress of American Indians, several human and civil rights organizations, whereas Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, 55 members of Congress, and a judge who sat as a member of the court on 2 of Mr. Peltier's appeals have called for Peltier's immediate release. Therefore, Leonard Peltier's Defense Committee, supporters worldwide, the Native and American Indian people of Tacoma and Pierce County, community activists and residents of the city of Tacoma and Pierce County do hereby ask the Tacoma City Council and the Pierce County Council to join in the support of Leonard Peltier's bid for freedom, and join Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, and the National Congress of the American Indians and support Leonard Peltier's petition for clemency from the President of the United States, Barack Obama. Let's make this happen.
I'm going to have Michael, oh, I have to hook up the microphone, it's official. I'm going to have Michael One Road come up, and then Zoltan Grossman. One other thing is Alex is back.
Less people, but that's great. You know, at least as long as one person's here, that's what matters. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about today, is that we got to be good to each other, you know? It's about time to quit fighting each other, you know? It's way, way past due. You know, just like this event right here, there's a lot of things we could be doing together, you know, as people, you know, just all people. You know what would happen? What would really happen if we took all Indian people and said, okay, let's go to Washington, D.C. and show them some force. And if you really, if every person said, okay, I'm going to be just one guy counted, and you go down there, we're going to have half the government, we're going to have half the nation down there, you know? And that's not their nation, that's ours. And so we're going to tell them, you know, let our brother go. It's about time. And this is our voice telling you this is what's going on. We're tired. We're tired. You know, people have been doing this for a long, long time. You know, and it's just a shame that people can get separated. You know, and that really hurts my heart. You know, to see something like that or to hear things. But so that's one thing I want to ask you today. Work together, be good to each other. You know? Do that for Leonard. If nothing else, do it for him. You know, he needs everybody. That means stand together strong. You can't do that if you're always against each other. So let's work together. You know, let's get that done. Good thing. Everybody keeps telling me that I look like I've been real happy lately, so I'm going to get married in about another week or so. So I told her, well, she's with the Peltier Committee in Pennsylvania, and she's going to be coming out here to live, so she'll be by my side every time when we come up here now. And so I love her a lot, and I want to just put that out there for her, you know, that she's welcome from these people from this Northwest, you know. And she was wondering, you know, how are people going to think of me over here? I don't really know this or that. And I said, what are you worried about? Just come on over and let's just do it. So that's what we're doing. So, anyways, there was a lot of other things, you know, that I always try to take up with uranium mining and this and that, but I think most of that was already covered today. So now that's why I wanted to make that be good to each other the main thing that I wanted to tell you today, because, you know, once you can be good to somebody else, you're going to feel that in your own heart. You can come and say a prayer right here. Do that every day. Make that connection with the earth. Make that connection with God. Make that connection with all them relatives that we have. When you can do that and you come together like that, everything that you do is going to be in a good way. Do it together. I hope.
Directly across the street, there's a big red van. Clyde just brought that down so he can give some of the other drivers a ride to the Portland Avenue Park so they can come back and pick up their passengers.
Very good, very good. I'm going to have Zoltan Grossman from Evergreen State College come up and speak at this time. And after that will be, I almost said his father's name, David Duenas. Are you still here, David? Somewhere. Okay.
Thank you. It's an honor to have been asked to speak today. I'm originally from the Midwest Treaty Network in Wisconsin. And out there in the Midwest, we had heard for many years about this gathering for Leonard Peltier held in Tacoma. So this is a beautiful day. It was a beautiful walk, beautiful drum.
and it was kind of a legend in the Midwest that people gathered here every year in Tacoma to keep Leonard Peltier front and center. We didn't know anything about that there was a dome here. We didn't know what a glass museum is, but we knew that this gathering happened, and we knew that people were keeping Leonard Peltier's message alive and out in front. I first got involved about 33 years ago, about 79, in the Black Hills Alliance to try and keep the mining companies out of the Black Hills, and successfully kept most of the mining companies, the coal uranium mining companies, out. And then also worked in Wisconsin when there was a fishing rights struggle, a little war there between the tribes, the Ojibwe and the sport fishing groups, and stood with them in the Witness for Nonviolence. And then also tried to bring together some of those sport fishers and the tribes to try and unite to protect the fish from the mining companies. And we kicked most of the mining companies out of Wisconsin. And that was all because of the model of the Black Hills Alliance and what people like Leonard, people like many other people, Lakota people, were doing in the Black Hills. In the last 7 years, I've been at Evergreen teaching world geography, native studies, and there's really a relationship between those two, because it's the colonization of Native America that was the testing ground, that's the template, the model for everything else that the American Empire has done since. The Philippines, Vietnam, Latin America, the Middle East. If you notice, they always talk about tribal regions in the Middle East. That's really what it's about. And so, looking at Pine Ridge that way, in 1973, the tail end of the Vietnam War was like a mopping up operation. It was trying to complete the job back home. And there was intense military involvement in trying to defend a dictator, a local dictator on Pine Ridge Reservation, just like the dictators that were being defended in Vietnam and Latin America. The head of the FBI down there, Norman Zagrossi, actually said at the time that Lakota people are a conquered people, and when you're a conquered people, you submit to the dictates of the people who conquered you. So they understood perfectly well what they were doing in trying to prosecute Leonard Peltier. Earlier, with the siege of Wounded Knee, there were Phantom jets, armored personnel carriers, the 82nd Airborne was there. They were all prepared to invade on May 10th, 1973, but the siege ended on May 8th. And so after Wounded Knee, there was a reign of terror, as Ramona mentioned earlier, with dozens of people being killed, culminating in the shootout at Oglala, June 26, 1975, which was about 2 months after the end of the Vietnam War. That's how long ago this was. The shootout was about the same time as the end of the Vietnam War. It's almost as if today the U.S. was holding Vietnamese prisoners from the Vietnam War still today. So you really get the feeling that, you know, that's not what's happening. What's actually happening between the U.S. and Vietnam, 58,000 Americans were killed, 2 million Vietnamese were killed, and yet there's dialogue. Some veterans have gone back. We honor those veterans. Have gone back to Vietnam trying to build some dialogue, try to have some mature conversation about what happened, to treat each other as human beings. But what is the FBI doing about a shootout in which it lost 2 of its agents along with Joe Stuntz of the American Indian Movement, who's always forgotten about and never mentioned? They're trying to keep that war alive by prosecuting Leonard Peltier. And every time that someone tries to talk about releasing, they're there with their protests, they're there with their dioramas. So it's very important to tell our friends that Leonard Peltier represents something much larger. Is the FBI and the U.S. government by extension telling us that that war is not over, that that war is alive and it continues. So it's not just about freeing one man, it's also about bringing that war to a close. You notice that every time the TV networks want to show Native people as poor or desperate or helpless, where do they go? Where do they send the camera crews? It's always to Pine Ridge. Always to Pine Ridge. That's also a way to say that this war isn't over. This war has to be kept alive. Now, some people say, and some of my friends even, well, I don't know about Peltier's case, there's this, there's that. I don't know exactly what the facts are. It really doesn't matter at this point about the whole legal argument about what happened that day, about what happened since. I personally believe that Leonard is innocent of those charges. But even if you confront people who do not believe that, they should still ask for Leonard to be released. And ask them, do you really believe that he would have been in prison for 36 years if these charges were not political? He is a political prisoner. And by releasing him, we can create the idea that this war should be drawn to a close. In all of the peace settlements, in all of the countries where there's an end to fighting, El Salvador, Northern Ireland, South Africa, we hope Palestine, part of the peace settlement is always to release the prisoners, to release the POWs, to exchange the prisoners. That's what peace is about. That's what bringing a war to an end is about. And we can say that Leonard Peltier will be free. And finally, I want to recognize a young man who's not here, a young Lakota man who is here for one of the past gatherings.
You know, we're hanging in there. We were believing and we're supporting for our brother and our relatives. I'm here because my father and Leonard Peltier were brothers. They were running buddies. They did all kinds of stuff together. They fought, you know, from Alcatraz all the way to Washington, D.C. They stood up for these rights that we have, these rights that were, you know, beaten out of our people for years and years in the boarding schools and the mission schools. And they fought for our identity. And today we have an identity, you know. We have a lot of things that our people do today that we enjoy. Our native ways, we enjoy our native life. And it's because of the folks that fought for that, for us, as we were growing up. I met this guy, he's over there standing across the street. His name's Clyde Gill, he was at Wounded Knee. You know, that's around to that guy standing over there, wave at that guy. Shake his hand, you know, he's a Wounded Knee veteran. You know, and growing up, you know, we have these people that we look up to around our community. And we try to raise our kids in a good way so that, you know, they'll stand up down the road, you know, for the next person that needs to be stood up for, whether that's Leonard Peltier, you know, because we're praying that Leonard gets free. We're praying that he's able to get out of prison and to be with his family, his relatives, to be with his people. You know, he's been sick. They've had him in solitary confinement off and on for 36 years, you know. And he stood up to this system for this whole time that he's been there. And I like to remember him today that way. You know, that busted me, but, you know, that didn't stop me. I got up and wanted to walk today. I usually drive down here, but I wanted to walk today. And I couldn't really keep up with everybody, but I still kept up and I still walked. In honor of our relative, Leonard Peltier. In honor of the spirit of crazy horse. That's why we're here today. Let's say. It says, free Peltier. I like to say that loud enough so they can hear it. There's people saying that all over the world today. All across Turtle Island, all the way over across on the other side of the ocean somewhere, in some places, Germany, Denmark, you know, all over the world they're talking, they're standing in unity today in solidarity for our brother. So with that, my relatives, I want to thank our partner in the AIM brothers for bringing our drum. for traveling up here and walking with us and supporting us throughout the day, the afternoon, in support of Leonard Peltier. Thank the pipe carrier, the person that brought this chalupa out today, and wherever they're at, Creator bless them, and bless everybody today in a good way. And as you travel home, people have a safe travel home, and Creator bless each and every one of you today. I hope.
I used to babysit David once in a while at different movement events in the early 70s. Well, not that he needed babysitting. It's when the guys were out having to run to town and do stuff, and just keeping the guys together and getting them to their tents and their teepees and stuff. I'm going to have Keith come up and do a closing prayer, and then we're going to kind of wind things down. After the closing prayer, there's some people that kind of wanted to speak, and we can do a few minutes of open mic, but it won't be too much of a time. Keith, can you come up, or do you want me to bring you the mic? Okay, he's coming up.
I want to say good cheers to all of you that are here, because without you, this wouldn't be happening, especially to the grandpas and to the grandmas. There's one brother who made a speech, not being more than him, talking about occupation. Occupation started in 1492. Did you hear me? So let's get the record straight. Honestly, let's put down that one group of people who were singing, he was in prison for 36 years, not 35. It's important. Today, each and every one of you are making history, whether you know it or not. Every one of you are making history. I want to encourage those of you who carry hand drums. It is an honor to carry the drum. And if they ask you to come up and sing, for Christ's sake, come up and sing. You are adding value to the drum. Elders are here because they fought the battle to have you do what we're doing today. Some of us used to get beat up at school for speaking our native language. Please, they beat us up because we didn't speak Spanish. But you know what? We fought. We can speak our language today, and I'm not ashamed. Leonard is our brother regardless of what goes on. Before I close, I also want to tell each and every one of you, especially the drivers, if you brought somebody down, take them home. Don't leave them stranded. The reason I say that, my sister and I came down today. I made arrangements with a driver. He never showed up. Honor your words. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Did you hear me? They look bad at Native American people and say, just another Indian drunk. 42 years ago, 43 years ago, they could have said that to me, and it would have been right. I have 42 years, going to 43 years of sobriety. Having said that, I want to also address my sister, Sue. She was talking about, I went through operation. I was going through an operation on the 1st of February. I called a few people about it. She shared with me that she heard I was battling. I was. But when I gave up the battle and gave it to the Creator, He took over. Did you hear me? Good. I want to respond because I want you to take that home to someone who's suffering. When Sue talked to me earlier, I want to encourage you, and this is for all of you. I'm going to challenge you. Now remember, your words are good. Sue mentioned she was going to have some operation or something with the people. Creator answers prayer. I say that because I'm a cancer survivor. Like I said, on February 1st, I even called uncle and told him. You know, and some guy was telling me today, you don't need to march. This is a young kid. I said, if you don't want me to march, then you need to get up and march. But what I want to say to Sue, the Bible says that God is not a respecter of person. He did it for me. He can do it for her. When I went through that surgery, they were doing the surgery, they put a tube down to my stomach. That doctor told my relatives, there's no cancer, there's no, also nothing. And he said, whatever you're doing right. And in my mind I was thinking I wasn't doing anything. But I gave it all up to the Creator and I said, my battle is over, He's taking over. Now if He can do that for me, He can also do that for her. Or anybody else here. Leonard is a very, very special person. He's not doing it for Leonard, he's doing it for the people. Did you get that? Good. When I say something, holler, this is your day, you got the permission. I was also up in Pine Ridge, but I didn't do it for myself, I did it for the people. And that's what AIM started for. If you hear somebody come up and say, I'm running for president in the United States because I'm a part of AIM, you need to support them. You need to support them. AIM started for the people. They started to protect the people. It's not a one-man's agenda. If you forget the elders, Arthur and I were talking about this a couple of days ago, that you know that they set the pace, and I know I'm not making a mistake in mentioning it, but we were talking, we did a deal up in Seattle over gold, dairy gold. You know, I didn't forget we're getting old or older. This one sister, her and I were started marching. You know, when the group got out by Westlake, before they crossed the street, before we got there, they were around about 3 blocks. And I was telling this sister, man, if I knew this was going to be a jog, I would put on tennis shoes. That sister and I had to take two buses to get down to where they were at. And Jim was sitting down there, and I said, well, we're at the right place, Jim is there. But you know, what we say and do, a lot of people say, and I give it to the credit to all the elders, we say and do for the children and grandchildren. The system is not wrong for teaching the history of the people. It's the grandparents, the parents. You as Native Americans have the right to speak the native language and teach your culture. I want to repeat again that occupation didn't just start in October, November. It started in 1492. Tell America when you go to talk to schools, you remind them. I remind people, we're not Indian, we are Native Americans. Big mistake was in Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock will let anybody and everybody in now. For Christ's sake, you have to have a permit for your puppy. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? Back in the day when we were growing up, they used to say hippies. Used to say that, you know, they were Native Americans, put a feather in their hair, put yarn on their shirt with a few plastic buttons, and saying they were Native. But where were they when the rights for Native people came up? Fishing rights, water rights. They didn't go to boarding school and get punished. But we did. And I'm proud today that I'm proud to be an American citizen. Native American citizen. I'm not a part of Christopher Columbus. Like I say, I feel bad that they let anybody and everyone in. We don't have to go that route. Our kids do not have to go that route. You know, I want to encourage and thank everybody that is here. My heart sore like an eagle. That one brother was talking about he was having problem walking. He was up a few minutes ago. You know, we were kidding around, Arthur and I were saying that, you know, when we're getting too old, the people have to get ahead of us, the youth have to take over. I got news for you, I ain't giving up. I ain't giving up. The fight is not over. Even those elders that crossed over, they're looking down at you and wonder what you're doing. And so I want to encourage you, don't ever be ashamed to say you're standing up for the right thing. All dollar bills are the same as the ones that came over. It's green. It's green, and it's $100, 100 pennies. It's green whether you're white, yellow, black, or green. But the money means the same. The land belongs to the people. We're only caretakers. We're only the caretakers of whatever we have. But treat it right. Don't spit on the ground. Don't throw things down. You know, as I was coming in, I was thinking of all these things that are on the ground. You didn't do it in your home, why do it in our relatives' property? I want to close with encouraging everyone. Your signature means an awful lot on that paper. Your phone means something. Your hearing, it makes a big difference. You know, and I want to encourage you to keep going on because Leonard's still there and the fight's not over. And I want to pray and close. But you guys keep Sue up for next week. I'm believing for a good report, sister. I'm believing for a good report. I came with a good report, and so I want to pass it on to my sister. I want to pray in my native language and to encourage all of you who can pray right now in his or her own language. Praying it over for Peltier, for Father Victor, and for Sister Sue, and any traveler, any bus driver, any car driver, any cook, pray for. I want to encourage you today. This is why we're here. At least the Kiran Kau to us who group of the Shishu Kayaki. But the Satinak Isha Kau in Kinesi Kayaki Yaki. In Kinesi Yalana Peltier. Father Victor Ishuni Kau. Su Yaki Kau in Kinesi. But the Satin to take a Kau. To such a age in the Yaki Kau in Kinesi. Heavenly Father, we thank you for every person that is here. We thank you for the work that we're doing. We ask that you be with each and every home that's represented. We ask for all the people who drive cars and bringing people down. We ask that you be with them. We ask for a safe journey. We ask for our brother Leonard and where he's at, that he'll be released. We ask for Father Victor that the work he's done, that you will honor him and take care of him. And what you've done for me, we ask that you also do for our sister Sue. Father, we're believing for good report. We give you all the praise and glory. We ask this in Jesus' name. I hope I'm a relation. Sue?
All right.
I carry a lot of kids and grandkids around there.